Hola, ¿cómo está? Viviendo con football with Brownie. Anyway, if you're not Spanish, hi, hope you're well. Hope everyone's feeling well. Welcome to Football with Brownie. Hope you're safe, keeping each other safe. You see, I'm trying to keep people safe around us and spreading love during the pandemic because we all need a little bit of love in my people. Please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Remember, it's free to subscribe, so if you haven't done it, why not? Anyway, welcome to the Cardiff City show. And Dan and everybody in the chat, I do apologise for being late. It is my fault, completely my fault. I just thought I'd come for a walk and give you a bit of different surroundings, really. And at the same time, give myself a bit of sunshine. Anyway, welcome to my good friend Dan. Dan, how are you, my friend?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Yeah. I'm just taking it easy, Dan. I do apologise. Well, where should we start? Where should we bloody start? It's like that with Cardiff City all the time, Dan. In there, where the hell do we start? Well, I'm just wondering, Dan. Breaking news last night regarding, a further investigation of bullying going on within the youngsters or the young sides of Cardiff City. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dan. Maybe it's me being, and we did have a little chat about this last night. Maybe it's me being very narrow-minded. Because I grew up in that kind of environment as a kid myself. I just put it down to, it's a snowflake generation, bloody get on with it, as you know. But then all of a sudden, as per usual, Dan, you return serve. If we were playing tennis, you return serve me and smashed me, and it was game set match Dan. So go on. What's your opinions on it all?
I mean, kind of. So I can only say so much. Obviously, it's an ongoing investigation.
Yeah.
People are innocent until they're proven guilty. I do know people from within the academy, parents who have children within the academy. So I know 2 members of staff have been suspended. Look, I think I agree with you. I grew up, I played ice hockey from the age of 6 until I was, into my late 20s. I got to play at professional level. I went through the harsh environment.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a different time. I do think there is a certain element nowadays where we take that out of kids, and it's not always a good thing. But like I said to you last night, the things I've heard go beyond a harsh environment to the point that, when kids are in tears because they're being screamed and shouted at, that's sort of another level. As a parent myself, that's not an environment I would want my kids in. And it's certainly not the environment that should be within a professional football club. So obviously we're yet to see what comes out of any investigation. Maybe something and nothing. I can only go on what I've heard from other people. But it's not a good look for the club, considering what's gone on in the past towards the same sort of thing.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a link going on now, isn't it? A bit of a, I've always been of the opinion, Dan, that if you don't treat kids to lose, then how can they get on in life later on in life? They need to accept that they may not have the job in which they've gone for. They may not have the house in which they put a bid in for. They have to accept defeat as well as victory. And I've always had an issue with the kind of teachings in which go on within the schools these days because of that. But as you said, it's on another level now. Well, apparently it's on another level.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with you. I coach kids, and I think we've taken a hard turn away from winning is everything to winning doesn't matter, losing doesn't matter. Everybody gets a medal. And I think you need to be somewhere in the middle. Like you say, I think you need to teach kids to win and lose. I grew up in a sport where, look, there's a big scoreboard above every ice rink you go into. You're well aware of whether you're winning or losing, and you need to learn to deal with both sides of the game. And I think we take that out of it a little bit too much now. I mean, the group of kids that I coach with, we've always had you win, you lose, and we deal with it either way. And that's part of growing up. Like you say, you don't go out into the real world and get everything you want. And that's an important lesson. But there's always a line, and there's a way of doing things. There's a way of teaching the kids these things without sort of pushing it to boundaries that are totally unacceptable. And like I say, we don't know what's going on. I mean, in certain instances, if you throw enough shit, something will stick. So it may be something and nothing. It may be disgruntled people trying to get their own back. We don't know yet, but I mean, when it comes out more than once from the same club, there's got to be some sort of basis to what's going on.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. A couple of comments in the chat before we go any further, Dan. Brendan comes in and says, Brownie legend. Okay, no worries. Joseph, how are you doing, my friend? Hope you're well. And Amelia's in the chat. Apparently, Joe Bennett could be out for 6 to 9 months. Not that we miss him because he's crap. We'll go on to that as we talk about the game this afternoon. But further information coming out from the Salah case now, Dan, and I think it could well be more of a procedure kind of thing, but 13 kind of defendants really are coming up against a civil case, 2 of which are both Cardiff City and Nantes. What's your opinions on that first?
Yeah, you're right. So I think the inquest into Emiliano Sala's death started on Wednesday. The court hearing, I believe, was either a day or 2 days before, and it was a procedural case, basically to prevent or to protect the family's right to sue. We did name 13 people, including the 2 clubs, player agents, the owners of the plane. Within that, it doesn't mean the club are getting sued. It's just protecting the family's right. I mean, I think the inquest is going to play a big part in that, in trying to determine some sort of fault for the incident. My understanding of it is that Cardiff City obviously arranged a commercial flight. The decision to take that private flight was nothing to do with the club, which is obviously something that will come out in the inquest. So, I mean, it doesn't mean the club are going to get sued. It's not a great position for them to be in. But at this moment in time, obviously, it's something else to worry about with financial issues as well. Yeah,
first of all, both our thoughts are obviously with the family regarding this, but I'm just going to be a bit direct here. Right, and apologies if people take it the wrong way, but it's just my feelings and my opinion on it. Cardiff City, if I feel Cardiff City are in the wrong, I'll fucking point it out. It's no your buttering things up, and they have been in the wrong in certain areas regarding this, but I can't see how they can be sued. I mean, if I went to work with a car, and touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if on the M4 I had a crash and I died, I couldn't sue my workplace, for that crash, because basically, technically, he was traveling to work. As you mentioned, Cardiff are already offered, which was turned down, for a commercial flight. The flight was from Paris, and he wanted to go to Nantes. He wanted to get home straight away, basically. Even though the 2 flights were a touchdown around about the same time. But I've been to that. I've been from Nantes to Paris, and it's not a nice journey. I'll be honest with you. So I can kind of understand why, but he said no to that flight, and he made that decision to go on a private flight. And another thing as well is that, you know, because Cardiff didn't have any responsibility on who was flying and didn't know about the certificates in which he was holding or wasn't holding, I can't see anything other than Cardiff not being touched at all on this case.
Yeah, I think the sort of the difference to what you described is obviously there were wrongdoings within the flight. So obviously there was, you know, a pilot without a license. The plane was obviously missing certain things. There were legal requirements not met by certain people. So I think, although Cardiff have been named, I tend to agree with you. I think obviously without the inquest being finished and knowing exactly what's said, I don't think the club has done anything wrong. I don't think they've played any part in any of the wrongdoings. Obviously, like I said, I think the hearing was to protect the family's right to sue. So they've named Cardiff in that because without the inquest coming out, you never know. There may be some wrongdoings we don't know about that have come from the club as well that have not been publicised. But I think once the inquest goes through, obviously, if Cardiff are shown to have had no wrongdoing or no impact on what happened, then I don't think it'll affect them at all. I think at the moment it's just an ugly piece of PR to have for the club in what has been a pretty horrendous situation for the last year or so.
Yeah. No, you're right. The main thing, the main issue I got with the club and with Nantes as well is that, you know, the argument between whose player he was, I think is a bit crass, you know. But this is a completely different argument, you know, and I think that you know, it should have settled the argument by going 50-50, but unfortunately, when so much money is involved, you do get lawyers jumping in on that. But this is a completely separate argument, and I fully support Cardiff City on this.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. Yeah, you know, like I say, as long as the inquest comes back that the club have done nothing wrong, which is at the moment, I've got no reason to believe they have, then I fully back them in this situation. But as for the rest of it, I agree with you again. They should have just gone 50-50, written it off, and forgot about it because it's not really the time to be arguing about money.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, next topic, Dan. Slightly off Cardiff at the moment. We'll go back on to it. We'll preview the game this afternoon. The Welsh FA. I don't know if you noticed my video in a week, but obviously with the court case, Ryan Giggs' alleged assault case, with that being delayed, the Welsh FA refused to move anything on his position, which I can understand why, but it's now meaning that there's no male manager, there's no female manager, and the CEO put his resignation in a few days ago. So it's an absolute 1990 shambles down the Welsh FA again. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Ryan Giggs situation is, I suppose that is what it is. I know you're innocent until you're proven guilty, but I think the nature of what's allegedly gone on leaves him with no option really but to step him down until that's over and done with. I mean, the things with the CEO have kind of, they've all rumbled into one big mess. I mean, with registration fees and one thing and another over the last 12 months. And I mean, it's not a great look for the game, is it?
No.
Especially when you promote Welsh League football, you're trying to get clubs like Wrexham and things back playing in that league. And then you've got that absolute mess at the top. It's sad to see. really. We've had a couple of really positive years with the national team starting to play
Yeah,
well.
we have.
Time in my living memory, because I grew up watching them lose pretty much every time they ever stepped on the field.
Oh, I know.
So it's not something you want to see. Hopefully, it's something that's resolved quickly. CEO was sort of labelled as the problem and the issue, and hopefully now they've kind of taken that bad apple out, they can start to rebuild and push forward in a positive direction. But yeah, it's something that's not great to see at the moment.
Well, I don't know if you know Mark Evans, but I've known Mark Evans for the best part of 30 years. When I've been watching football with him, played football with him, and his time is coming to an end now as well. I think he would even admit that. Basically, because if he was doing the same job, and he's doing basically 3 people's jobs in the Welsh FA than what the English FA would do, because they cost cut so much. But I'm digressing a bit. I was always skeptical about the appointment of Ryan Giggs. He was a great player at United. Didn't really turn up for Wales. Okay, so you can't argue it may not have been his fault if a pressure from Ferguson. But there was always this kind of like off-field rumours and activity going on before, and it was a massive PR gamble for Welsh FA. And I think it's definitely a link there to link why Jonathan Ford has handed in his notice. I mean, to be honest, I think Jonathan Ford could well be dying on his sword after making such a decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's an odd one, isn't it, really? Because he's never really done much in management, and then you give him a national job. And I think you're right. It's kind of a PR stunt, isn't it? It either goes really well and you've made a fantastic outside of the box decision that's paid off, or it goes wrong. And I think they've kind of landed somewhere in the middle on that, because let's be honest, he's taken over as manager. He's done pretty well, in all fairness.
Exactly. I should have put that in my speech there. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You can't really knock that side of things, but then, like you say, there were always rumours and the affairs and other things that came out, which kind of, I don't know, makes someone a little bit of a loose cannon from a personal perspective, and that can always backfire on you. So it's kind of a 50-50. They've made the right decision on the field, but it has blown up in their faces off it. But again, it's court case, it's alleged, it may come back that he's done nothing wrong and everything's fine, but it's just something else to add to what is a crazy situation at the moment.
No, you're right. We're going on to we haven't spoken since the Huddersfield game. So what's your opinion on that? I mean, personally, I think it was 2 points dropped. They were disappointing performance, but we kind of like guessed it, didn't we? That it was going to be a lot of tired legs going on out on a pitch against Huddersfield.
Yeah, it was probably the single worst game of football I've watched in a very, very long time. It was not just Cardiff. Huddersfield were pretty awful as well. It looked tired. Losing Joe Bagan didn't help either. Kind of slowed the left side down and took a little bit of the flow away from the play, but it was just an all-round pretty ugly affair, really. 2 points drop maybe, but then I suppose on the other side of it, again, a game like that 6 months ago, we would have come out of losing 2 or 3-0. So
you're right.
Point for me, great.
I know that people are panicking at the moment now, and I'm quite annoyed with the result. But listen, it's still too many games in it for me for it to be. It's still going to be ups and downs. Hey, you okay? Still going to be ups and downs in this, and see what happens. I've always said, though, Dan, I think I've said it on a show with you. I've always said that I think it was a little bit, it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks too late for McCarthy to get the job. I think the Wickham game, he should have went there then. If they took action there, they could have had a few more, few more games to play with.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be kind of at the end of the season, maybe what makes the difference between maybe making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. Is that little bit of digression and not making a move quicker could come back to bite him at the end, because we're chasing teams who are all seats. So yeah, that could be something that comes back to bite him as we get into his final run now. But I mean, look, he's doing a great job. I know people seem to panic. We drop points and people panic and go, oh my God, is this the end of it? Look, we're going to lose eventually. We're not going to keep winning every single week. Things will go wrong. There will be hiccups here and there. He's working with a tiny squad. They look knackered. Hopefully, week's rest now between games will serve them well going into today.
Which goes back to Amelia's point about Joe Bennett and Bagan being out as well. What's going to happen to left back then, Dan? How are they going to play it?
I don't know. There's been a few things about maybe putting Hoylett back, the additional left back role anymore. Does require a lot more attacking, and you are a little bit more covered behind you. So you could see him go outside of the box and sort of chuck somebody else in there to see if it works. I really worry about it today, though, against Watford. Sarr's going to be flying down the right-hand side all afternoon. And I think whoever he puts there is going to be in for a very, very tough afternoon.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're going to a Watford game. And before we go any further, let's go into comments. Amelia comes back. Regarding the Salah case, the blame's on Cardiff, basically. The blame on Cardiff is basically why Mackay trying to deflect the blame away from him. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Sorry if I couldn't read that properly. I got sun in my eyes here. And Jack. Hi, Jack. Hope you're well, my friend. And the Watford game, and Dan. Oh, it's just one of those business end of the seasons. Nail biter now. 6-pointer. City need a win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough afternoon. Obviously, Watford are pushing towards look, I think the way we've been going lately, we got nothing to fear from anybody. But it's certainly going to be a step up in class from playing sort of Middlesbrough, Huddersfield, Derby. So left back situation probably going to be our interest this afternoon. You never know, but I really could be a struggle. But look, let's go into it confident and let's see what happens, because I think we got nothing to lose. We're chasing a playoff spot now. We were on the verge of relegation.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Let's be positive.
All positive.
Sorry, Dan. I'm still knackered. I haven't had my coffee of the day yet, as you know, and no worries. So sorry if I wasn't being positive. Then we can do it. We've beaten them away. Beating them away is just the performance against Huddersfield has kind of took the edge off my possibility of my happiness going into it. I can't think of my words, to be honest, but yeah, so the players have had a few days off now, and it's all systems go against Watford. I don't know. I think they could take it out of the bag.
Yeah, I think the break will have done them good, because they played something ridiculous like 8 games in the space of 3 weeks. They were playing twice a week, so that break is probably going to help us a little bit. We got a small squad. We're well aware of that. So playing that many games in such a short space of time was always going to put a bit of strain on him. But hopefully with that break now, we come back out again playing like we were sort of prior to the last few games. I don't think there's anything to fear. Like I say, Watford are playing well. They're going for automatic promotion, but with a shout at the playoffs, there was a point a month ago where we were all just happy just to stay in the Championship. So if we make the playoffs now, great. If we finish mid-table, happy days.
Now that the teams who had games in hand have played their games in hand, unfortunately for Cardiff, most of them have gone against Cardiff. The results, I mean, the point gaps are starting to show in the table now, aren't they? And I think top of my head, it's 4 points into the final playoff position. Cardiff can't afford to go 7 if it doesn't go well today. Oh, I can't hear you, Dan.
Yeah, I think, look, if the playoffs are going to be a realistic option, I think you got to be. These are the sort of games you need to win. With people in, but look, like I say, if we don't and we drop some points along the way and we don't quite make it, I don't think it's a disaster. I think personally, for me, I think it'd be more of a disaster if we make the playoffs and go up, because unless we're going to get serious investment, I think it's just a one-way route coming straight back down. So I'd be quite happy if we just stayed where we were and had another season in the Championship and straightened stuff out.
Okay. All right. No worries. Just a quick question. We'll go into the comments before one quick question and then we're done, man. All right. Amelia, she comes back, says the Blakemore card basically. No, sorry. Dave's in the house. How are you, Dave? Hope you're well, my friend. Sorry, Amelia does come back and says the only thing I blame Cardiff for is refusing to point ons. I think that's exactly what we said, exactly the same thing. John Wayne's in the house. Howdy, John. Howdy, my friend. And Amelia, I think the pressure will be on Mick McCarthy in the summer. He has to make lots of changes. Well, we'll have to see about that. Dan, the only final question is basically because you cover Italian football, with Forza Italia website you have. Juve. Now, I'm not a liker of Juve. Never have liked them. I remember watching them at the Bernabeu a few times. And, the chanting, me included, were also Juve for culo. But that's something else. Right? What's happening to Juve? And is it bad news for Ramsey if Pirlo gets shown the door?
I mean, it's an absolute dumpster fire at the moment. They've sort of brought in Cristiano Ronaldo with the express reasoning of trying to win the Champions League. I mean, it's paid off the field commercially. It was a fantastic move. It's brought lots of money into the club. But on the field, it's kind of had an adverse effect. And now they're all centered around one person. The constant chopping and changing of managers has not helped. I mean, they got rid of Allegri, brought in Sarri. Sarri won the league, got sacked anyway. And then they've gone completely the other direction and brought in somebody with no managerial experience on the basis that he's a fantastic football player. As far as Aaron Ramsey goes, I mean, look, since he's been there, for me, every time he's played, he's been one of the best. He is earning an awful lot of money though, and they're probably not getting a great return for what they're paying. So it could be a case that they cut ties with him sooner rather than later. But right now they're directionless. They're third in Serie A. They're out of the Champions League. If you were a Juve fan, you'd be very, very worried.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But there's a problem with transfers. It's quite easy for people to play FIFA and say, all right, I want this player out, I want that player out, I want that player out. I don't know if you see my video with Steve the other day. But, going back from when I was working for him, there's so many things that go on behind closed doors. For a transfer to actually happen, you need the player to agree. Ramsey's on 400 grand reportedly a week. Can't blame him. And to be honest, that only works out 16.5 million a year. For a player of that caliber, 16.5 million a year is not that bad, really. But the bottom line is, because you always get these links to the from the British media. Oh, he's going to this club. He's going back to Arsenal, going to United, or whatever. Bottom line is that if Ramsey likes the lifestyle over there too much, he's not going to go anywhere until the end of his contract. Too much.
Yeah, I think it depends on the player, doesn't it, and what his sort of his personal achievements or his personal goals are. I mean, if he wants to play football regularly, more regularly than he has been with Juventus, then he may welcome a move to come back to somewhere where he's going to be a bit more of a focal point. Like you say, if he's at that point in his career where he just wants to take his 400 grand a week and make his money, then he's probably not going to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of, I think Juventus knew what they were getting when they signed him. There's been a lot of talk about him, being out. He's out injured all the time, or he's out being rested all the time. I mean, they were well aware of that when they signed him. It's not like he played 40 games a year for Arsenal every year. Look, personally, for me, like I said, he was going in at the moment, especially with Italian football. Anything could happen. I expect Pirlo's probably not going to last past this season. And then it's at the will of whoever comes in to take over the job, whether he wants to keep him or not.
Are you there, Dan? No, I can't hear you. No. So we're gonna have to cut it short, unfortunately. All right, sorry guys, we're gonna have to cut it short. Right, I'll say on behalf of Dan where you can find him is at DJB Football on Twitter, and all his information are on there, contact details and everything on there. All right, okay. I don't know what happened there, Dan. Go on, Dan. Where can people find you? No, you're gone again. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Listen, we're going to have to cut it short. It may well be my Spanish internet. We all know how that bloody plays. But many thanks to Dan. Many thanks to everybody joining.
Football on Twitter. It's where all my work and everything goes up. And in the next couple of weeks, it'll be a big announcement about a new job I've taken within football.
Oh, it must be it got to be lagging, Dan, because you haven't said a word, and everything you said 10 minutes ago is starting to come through. No worries, we'll leave it there anyway. Many thanks, Dan. Much appreciated. And come on, a Bluebirds for later on. Come on.